I have to admit, when you handed me this week's source material, I I rolled my eyes a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
I saw theology on the spine,
Yeah.
and I immediately I prepared myself for a nap. Usually these books are so safe.
Like warm milk.
Exactly. They're like warm milk. You get some nice metaphors about Bertus, some tips on being a nicer person, maybe a few poems about footprints in the sand.
And did this one put you to sleep?
Not even close. Honestly, it kind of freaked me out.
How so?
Because right there, page 1, the author warns the reader. He says, "Beware the veiled warhead you cradle in your hands."
It's a bold opening line.
It is. So for everyone listening, we are looking at a book titled The Perichoresis Detonation, Surviving the Realization by H. Parker Eels. And detonation, I think, really feels like the right word here. The author doesn't frame this as a self-help book or, a religious manual. He frames it as a bomb.
Bomb designed to destroy a very specific thing.
Loneliness. The whole concept of loneliness.
Which is fascinating because if you really drill down into, well, the human condition, loneliness, or what Eels calls the lie of distance, it is the root cause of almost everything we struggle with.
Right. Anxiety, addiction, depression.
It often tracks back to this feeling of just being completely isolated.
So the core premise here is that the greatest source of human suffering, it isn't poverty or pain or even death. It's this belief that God is out there somewhere past Pluto, and we are down here, stuck in the mud.
And we have to do all this exhausting work to, bridge that gap.
Exactly. And the detonation is the destruction of that gap. But before we get to the explosion, we probably need to deal with that tongue twister in the title.
Right. Perichoresis.
It sounds like a gum disease. Or maybe a tropical storm.
It does, doesn't it? But it's actually beautiful. It's Greek. Peri means around, and choreo, that means to dance, or to make room.
Oh, like choreography.
It's where we get the word. The early church fathers used it to describe the Trinity.
So we're not talking about a guy with a white beard sitting on a throne.
Far from it. No. They saw the Father, Son, and Spirit not as static statues, but as this dynamic, eternal dance of mutual indwelling. The Father is fully in the Son is in the Father, and the Spirit is the bond between them.
A constant flow.
A constant flow of self-giving love.
Mutual indwelling. Okay. I think I can wrap my head around that as a concept for God. But here's the twist that Eels drops, and this is where I started getting really uncomfortable. He argues this dance isn't just something God does by himself, in the VIP section of heaven.
Right, and this is the fuse on the bomb.
The source material claims, and this is a direct quote, "He is inside me, and I am inside him." The detonation is realizing that humanity has already been pulled into this dance.
It just shifts the entire paradigm. I mean, most of us operate on the idea that religion is a bridge.
Right. We're building a bridge to get to God.
Eels is saying, no, stop building. The bridge is gone. You're already there. You just need to wake up.
Okay, but hold on. If that's true, if we are already in the dance, then why does life feel so lonely? Why does God feel a million miles away when I'm stuck in traffic or dealing with a crisis?
That is the million-dollar question. And Eels answers it by talking about that lie of distance. He says we are trapped in a hallucination.
Hallucination.
That God is holy and far, and we are sinful and here. And that belief creates a literal hell of alienation.
And because we believe that gap is real, we try to fix it.
Of course.
The book outlines 4 specific ways humans try to bridge this imaginary gap. He calls them the counterfeit antidotes. And I'll be honest, reading this list felt like being personally attacked.
They are universally relatable, I think.
Let's start with the first one, morality. He calls it the performance drug. Now, wait a minute. Isn't morality a good thing? I thought the whole point was to be a good person.
Well, that's the nuance Eels is getting at. He's not saying be bad. He's saying that using morality to bridge the gap is the trap.
So it's transactional.
It's the elder brother syndrome from the prodigal son story. You know the type. I've slaved for you for years. I never disobeyed your orders.
It's trying to be good enough to earn that closeness.
Exactly. And the result isn't intimacy. It's just exhaustion. And worse, it leads to self-righteousness. You start judging everyone else because you're working so hard to build your bridge, and they aren't.
Okay, so if working hard doesn't fix the loneliness, we swing to the second one. Mysticism.
Or the feeling drug.
Yeah.
We see this so much in modern spirituality, chasing the high, the goosebumps during the worship song, the tears at the retreat, the vibes.
I have definitely been guilty of this. You feel great in the moment, but then Monday morning hits, the music stops.
And you feel empty again.
Yeah.
And that's why Eels calls it a drug. You start treating God like a dopamine dispenser. When the feeling fades, you assume the distance has returned.
You equate feeling God with God being present.
But Eels argues God is just as present in your boredom as he is in your ecstasy.
Wow. Which brings us to the third one, and this one. Well, this is for our listeners who love deep dives.
Uh-oh.
Rationalism, the control drug.
This is the trap of the intellect, isn't it?
Totally.
If we can just understand God enough, if we can categorize him, parse the Greek, get the theology perfect, then we feel safe. We manage the distance by defining it.
But the author uses this really disturbing phrase for it. He calls it spiritual pornography.
It's provocative, but think about the metaphor. What is pornography?
Watching from a distance.
It's watching intimacy from a safe distance without any of the vulnerability. It's observation without connection. Eels says you can have a PhD in theology and still be completely godless.
Because you're staring at the fire.
Analyzing the chemical composition of the flame, but you're refusing to actually burn.
Oof, okay. So, morality fails, feelings fail, intellect fails. What's left?
Hedonism, the numb drug.
Which is basically just screw it.
Pretty much. If the gap is unbridgeable, if God is far away and silent, I might as well just numb the pain.
Alcohol, sex, noise, endless scrolling.
He calls the result climax without communion.
Which is a temporary fix that leaves you feeling even more isolated than before.
Right. So all of these things, the reason the book calls them counterfeit is that they all presume the gap is real.
They're solutions to a problem that, according to Eels, doesn't even exist anymore?
Correct. And this is where we move from the problem to the theology of the explosion. Eels claims the gap was vaporized at the incarnation.
And to explain this, he digs up a 7th century monk named Maximus the Confessor.
I love that we're pivoting from modern burnout to 7th century monks.
It's quite a leap.
Maximus is heavy lifting, for sure, but his core idea is the triple detonation. It's 3 stages of reality. Stage 1, the Trinity, that eternal fire of love we talked about.
Got it.
Stage 2, the incarnation. The fire moves into the bush, into human flesh through Jesus.
And stage 3.
Deification. Humanity becomes fire.
We'll pause. Humanity becomes fire. That sounds a little, I don't know, New Agey or pantheistic.
That's a great question.
Are we saying we become God? Because that seems like a bit of an ego trip.
It's a crucial distinction. In pantheism, you say, I am God. That's not what Maximus or Eels is saying. They're using the metaphor of iron in a fire.
Yeah.
If you put a cold iron rod into a furnace, eventually the iron takes on all the properties of the fire. It glows, it gives off heat, it burns, but it's still iron.
It hasn't ceased to be iron.
It's just participating in the nature of the fire.
So we become partakers of the divine nature, to quote the old text.
Exactly. It's not that we disappear, it's that we are invaded. And the book uses that military language intentionally. He talks about the forgotten invasion.
Yeah, he calls baptism a Normandy landing.
Which just reframes the whole thing. It's not a cute baby dedication, it's an amphibious assault. It's the moment the Trinity establishes a beachhead in the human body.
And communion isn't just a snack.
It's the logistical supply line. You are ingesting the invasion force.
Really intense imagery. And it all hinges on one little word that the author seems completely obsessed with.
The Greek preposition en. En.
It simply means in. Eels argues we just gloss over this constantly. We read Paul saying, Christ lives in me, and we think.
Oh, that's a nice metaphor. He means Christ is present in my heart like a memory or something.
But Eel says no, it's a location. It is a geographic reality, not with, not near, not alongside, in.
If you take that seriously, it changes everything.
Everything. You aren't praying to a God across the galaxy. You're praying to a presence that is more internal to you than your own nervous system.
Okay, so if this bomb is already armed inside our chests, why are we all just walking around acting like normal, anxious people? Why don't we feel it? Or maybe, has anyone actually felt it?
And that's the proof of concept section. Eels argues this is an abstract theory. He brings in historical eyewitnesses who didn't just believe the theology, they detonated.
He starts with St. Paul. And I've got to say, Paul sounds kind of angry in the verse Eels quotes.
2 Corinthians 13.5. It is a haunting verse. Paul asks the Corinthians, do you not realize that Jesus Christ is in you?
It sounds like he's shaking them by the shoulders. He is, and he follows it up by saying, effectively, unless, of course, you are a dokamoi.
And what does that mean?
It's the Greek word for failed specimens or counterfeit coins.
Ouch. failed specimens.
He's not saying they are bad people. He's saying they are failing the fundamental test of human existence. If you don't know your own address, if you don't know who is living inside you, you're walking around asleep.
Speaking of not being asleep, let's talk about the Desert Fathers. That story of Abbot Joseph gave me goosebumps.
It's a classic. A young monk asks, I fast, I pray, I do everything right. What more can I do?
And Abbot Joseph stands up.
And his 10 fingers turn into literal lamps of fire.
Which is a terrifying image.
And he says, if you will, you can become all flame. The implication is that we are settling for this lukewarm religion of rules when the option to be a bonfire is right there.
We also have stories closer to our time, like Corrie ten Boom. Now, I knew she hid Jews from the Nazis, but I didn't know the story about her forgiving the guard.
It's one of the most practical examples in the entire book. After the war, she meets a former SS guard from the very concentration camp where her sister died.
Wow.
And he asks for forgiveness. She writes that she tried to lift her hand to shake his, but she physically couldn't. She was frozen with hate.
Which is completely understandable.
Completely. But she prayed, Lord, I cannot forgive him. You must do it. And she describes feeling a literal electrical current, like a shock shoot down her shoulder, through her arm and into her hand.
She felt the detonation.
She identified it as Christ forgiving the man through her. It wasn't her forgiveness. It was the indwelling presence taking over her nervous system.
That brings us perfectly to the how-to section. Because if I'm listening to this, I'm thinking, okay, I want the electricity. I want to become all flame. How do I pull the pin?
The book lists 5 triggers.
And they are not easy.
Not at all.
No. The first one is silence, which sounds easy until you actually try to do it.
It's not just being quiet. It's stopping the internal noise, the planning, the worrying, the debating, long enough to hear the conversation that's already happening inside you.
The Trinity is already talking.
We're just too loud to hear it.
Okay, so then there's the Eucharist and obedience. But the one that Eels cites as the most explosive trigger is exactly what Corrie ten Boom did, forgiveness.
He calls it the nuclear option.
Yeah.
And the logic behind it is fascinating. Forgiveness, true forgiveness of a real enemy, it's unnatural.
It's anti-evolutionary.
Right. We are wired to protect ourselves. So when you absorb evil without returning it, you create a sort of vacuum in the universe.
And the Trinity rushes in to fill it.
Precisely. You are acting so contrary to human nature that the divine nature has to step in to sustain you.
And the last trigger.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to sign up for this one. Suffering.
Eels is brutal here. He says suffering strips away all the false shelters. When the money is gone, the health is gone, the reputation is gone.
All the counterfeit antidotes stop working.
You're left in the rubble. And it's often in the rubble that people finally realize they aren't alone.
Now, I have to push back on something in the book here. The section on physical symptoms.
I had a feeling you'd go there.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he talks about heat in the chest, uncontrollable tears, trembling, weightlessness. To a skeptical mind, this just sounds like hysteria or a panic attack.
Or the placebo effect.
Right. Is this real?
It's a fair skepticism. But Eels argues that if we believe the creator of the universe is literally inhabiting a biological body, why wouldn't there be physical symptoms? If you plug a toaster into a nuclear power plant, the toaster is going to shake.
That's actually a really good analogy.
He calls it the shock wave. He mentions Symeon the New Theologian, who saw uncreated light and felt his body burning without being consumed. Or the gift of tears, he calls it liquid light, where people weep not out of sadness, but out of an overwhelming sense of presence.
So the body is the hardware trying to run software it wasn't quite built for yet.
That's a great way to put it.
He also mentions time collapse, living in the eternal today.
The 0 point. It's the moment the subject-object duality just disappears. You don't feel close to God anymore.
Because closeness implies two separate things.
Exactly. 2 things near each other. You realize there is no longer a you that is separate from him.
Which sounds a lot like the death of the ego.
It is fatal to the ego. And that's really the ultimate challenge of the book. The metaphor he uses is the mirror and the furnace.
This is where he talks about looking into the mirror until the wreckage of the false self burns away.
It's about a total identity shift. We spend our whole lives building this character, the host, the expert, the successful person, but the detonation burns that costume off.
And what's left?
The only thing that's real, the Christ in you.
And this leads to what he calls the healing of memory. I loved this part. The idea that past traumas aren't erased, but they're held within the Trinity.
They are transformed from wounds into windows. Because you realize that even in your absolute darkest moment, you weren't alone. He was there experiencing it as you.
But there's a warning label on the bomb, right? The unforgivable sin.
This is often a terrifying concept for people, but Eels frames it very, very specifically. He says the only way to stop this explosion is the refusal to wake up.
So it's not about doing something bad.
No, not at all. You can fail every single moral test. Look at the thief on the cross. He failed at life. He was a criminal dying a criminal's death. But he passed the recognition test.
He recognized the king next to him.
And Jesus says,
"You'll be with me in paradise today."
exactly. The unforgivable sin is having the forgiver inside you, knocking on the door of your heart, and just keeping the latch bolted shut because you prefer your own misery. It's the refusal to consent to reality.
So we've gone from the lie of distance, this hell of loneliness, to the 0 point of mutual indwelling. It's a lot to process. My brain feels like it needs a cold shower.
It is a lot. But the takeaway is actually incredibly simple. It's just a shift in preposition. We spend our lives trying to get to God or get God to us.
And the source is saying the travel time is 0.
The travel time is 0.
The final call to action of the book is just 2 words. Say yes.
That's it. It asks the listener to simply consent to the reality that is already true, to stop fighting the invasion, to accept the EN. He is in me, I am in him.
It really circles right back to that aggressive question from St. Paul. Are you merely practicing a religion of distance? Are you just studying the menu? Or are you ready to examine yourself and realize the bomb is already armed inside your chest?
It's a question that demands an answer.
That is definitely something to sit with in the silence. Maybe don't try to force the heat or the trembling. Just acknowledge the presence. Thank you for taking this dive with us. It was heavy, but I think it was necessary.
My pleasure.
And to our listener,
Burn quietly.
burn quietly.